Hey you guys, I'm out here in Tobago at Mason Hall to be specific, and we are here to check out Corbin Local Wildlife. Let's go. Joined by Mr. Ian Wright from Corbin Local Wildlife Park out here in Mason Hall, Tobago. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to speak with us.
You're welcome. Good to see you.
So tell me about this space. What do you guys do here? What encouraged this to be built in the first place? Tell me.
All right. Well, obviously I'm not from here.
Right.
And so it was a very fortuitous meeting with Roy Corbin. So I'm an artist. My whole life I've been an artist, and that's funded all the environmental work I've done. Right. And so I've just been driven by the environment, but mainly dealing with habitat. This was my first time dealing with animals and critters. Mm-hmm. And Roy was born and bred here, and he was a big hunter, a famous hunter, and that put us in good stead. But he'd started to appreciate the critters were getting smaller or disappearing altogether, and he wanted to do something about it. So then we got together. It's a long story, but basically then said, let's try and do something together. Let's learn from each other and put our different skills together. Corbin really liked the idea of something like a petting zoo.
Right.
And I mean, I hate the idea. I don't like zoos, and I certainly don't like the idea of petting zoos. So we agreed to say we'll call it Corbin Local. And meaning we'll just have local animals.
Okay.
And then Corbin said, well, Ian, couldn't we just have a monkey? And we go, Roy, we start with a monkey, we end up with a giraffe. Well, in fact, we have ended up with a monkey here, but that's another long story.
Not the giraffe yet.
Not the giraffe. And I hope not. And even a monkey is stressful having a monkey. It's a challenge. I don't like animals in enclosures. Really. Right. So I've had to make a lot of compromises to understand what we're doing. So the whole focus of what we're doing is breeding and releasing Tobago's animals.
Right.
And it was a word I didn't know before I got here, is extirpated. So an extirpated animal is an animal that's extinct in Tobago, but not globally extinct.
Oh, okay.
So we're bringing some of those guys back into the island with the dream eventually of working out how to breed them and reintroduce them back into here.
Oh, that's lovely.
And that's the whole focus. And then we have lots of rules which we have to break, which says we don't take anything from the wild. So the majority of our animals have come from finding people keeping them in really inappropriate conditions, tiny cages, or they're damaged. And people bring us lots of damaged animals in. And so then we had to make as big enclosures as we could afford to hide those enclosures within the forest, so at least they're in the right habitat.
Right.
And then also, because we also have to fund it, to encourage people to come in. And this is about encouraging people to stop hunting. There's a role for hunting. I mean, we won't get into that now. Yes, we should still be hunting agoutis, but basically hunting, agouti is the only animal on the island that isn't endangered.
Okay.
And so everything else is stressed because of hunting. And so,
of course, if we don't deal with that's an issue. If we don't deal with that now, in the years to come, we will see the fallout of...
Well, in the years to come, it's almost on us. That's what's so scary. Yeah. And that's something I find confusing, that a hunter is happy to catch the last one, denying his own children a chance of seeing them, So it's been an interesting thing. I said to you, I don't like zoos. I don't like the idea of people handling animals, but we had this large boa constrictor who was really badly damaged with a dislocated jaw and most of the skin missing off his back. And because we handled that so much, and Roy is a snake whisperer. I mean, he's just a magician with most of the animals. He has this rapport with them. So we nursed this one back to health, but we were able to put that around children's necks and get children who come in because they've seen their parents scared of the snake. They're scared of the snake. Yes. And for them to actually touch it and hold it and interact with it, it was the best thing we could have done. And I've had to accept that. Yes. And now, on average, Roy collects 3 or 4 snakes every week.
Ooh.
We're talking hundreds of snakes. And the phone call comes in and said, it's just eaten my cat. It's in a shop in 𝗵𝗹𝗀. Corbin goes out, catches it. If they're not damaged, he can release them straight away.
Okay.
But so often, even though people call us, people would damage them.
And how long have you guys been doing this?
So we started, I think it's more likely a long 8 years at this stage.
Okay.
And so it's been a big learning curve, quite apart from putting the whole infrastructure together.
Sure, yeah.
And it's just the two of us, and then we had Michael, Roy's son, coming in as a wonderful tour guide as well. So it's been a lot of different disciplines coming together. And I mean, it's rather, I've enjoyed the fact that Roy and myself are from such totally different cultures.
Yes.
And to be able to put this together and work so closely together, and the learning doesn't stop.
Yeah. And if persons want to get involved with what you guys are doing here, can they?
Oh, yes, please.
How can they get involved?
So, I mean, so if you go to the Corbin Local website, and you can contact us there, and we're looking for a couple of different sorts of volunteers, really. I mean, someone who can just willing to come in and do, let's say, the grunt work in the park, which is just trimming trees and keeping paths clear and things like that. But also, we're both getting more and more concerned to try to illustrate what could be possible for Tobago. As we start, I call it playing God, as we start playing with the environment, not recreating what was here, but actually making it as species rich as possible.
Yes.
So we've underplanted it with hundreds of trees, different fruit trees, working out what attracts butterflies, what attracts moths. Butterflies are an amazing, they are indicator species. They're always described as that. If you've got butterflies around, then your environment, the habitat, is pretty healthy.
Wow.
When I first arrived here on my first flight as a tourist 10 years ago, it took me an hour and a half to get from the airport to the sea, which is only a few hundred yards, because there were so many butterflies. Now, these days you'd be challenged to find those. And so what we've been doing here is trying to work out what habitat we need to encourage those butterflies. Yeah. And so the only way we can determine whether we're succeeding is to get people to help us record. And so it doesn't matter if you don't know a butterfly. These days there's amazing apps where you can photograph a butterfly, put it into iNaturalist, and straight away it tells you what it is. Yes. But it also says this was found at Corbin's. So we've now recorded 83 species of butterfly here. And I would love to find people who would come in and just on a weekly, monthly, it doesn't matter, just a regular basis to record what's here.
Yes.
And there's so much, and this is what's so exciting about Tobago, there's so much we don't know. So 4 of the butterflies we've found here haven't been recorded in Tobago before.
Oh, wow.
It doesn't necessarily mean they're rare, we just haven't done that homework in Tobago.
And I'm sure that's for other types of animals.
I honestly think if anyone was here for 2 weeks, they're going to find a frog that hasn't been recorded.
Oh no, I don't like frogs.
Oh God, I love frogs.
Oh no.
The frog chorus up here at night is wonderful.
No.
And so, but and again, other people don't like snakes, but the thing we do with the kids when they come in, with everyone, okay, I don't like snakes, but do you like rats? And if we keep wiping out the snakes, we run out of, the rats are going to take over. So all the animals have got a role in the forest. The manicou,
they maintain some sort of balance.
The manicou, the possum, that's the garbage man. He's in there eating anything dead, anything rotten. So to share that with the children is so important.
Of course.
And then, so we're building up this database, and we're working with some of the local schools on this, where they come in using this app to record stuff. And so we then look at what birds are feeding on what trees, so it's the database and a help to that. Roy and myself aren't great academics. For someone to actually come in, and we plan every morning when I feed the birds, I record, okay, I've seen these guys, I'm now going to write it down. And of course I don't, But to have volunteers to come in who would actually have that discipline. And it is very exciting to see those species numbers come up. But what's so exciting, it's what they call citizen science. I'm not a scientist. I have very little education. But you don't need that. You need an enthusiasm. And with the modern tools that are available, you can learn so much. And so it's about encouraging everyone to get involved. And the more we learn, the more we can replicate what we're doing here in other bits of Tobago. So those butterflies are hanging on, but they need grasses for their caterpillars. And so we just, if someone's lucky enough to see a butterfly lay an egg, then we know that's its food plant for the caterpillar.
Okay, gotcha.
And most of the stuff like that, we don't know.
Yes.
If you look at most of the books, food plant unknown, host plant unknown.
Yeah.
So it's a chance for people to come in and learn and work with us to
and
do
be a
that.
part of documenting some of these things that are unknown, like you mentioned.
And it was a 16-year-old lad who helped us record most of the 80 butterflies there. So at 16, to be able to have his name down as, you know, he's now recorded 6 butterflies or 4 butterflies that weren't here. I mean, that's wonderful.
That's remarkable.
So, and that could stimulate students to literally move into the field of what we should all be doing.
And of course, if we have the next generation being interested in things like this, which they should be because it does impact them and affect them, but I feel like we don't pay as much attention as we should. So this is lovely what you guys are doing here. And you guys do tours, right?
Yeah.
Yeah? All right, so people can check the website for more information in terms of how you can connect with the folks here at Corbin Local. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us.
You're really, really welcome. And yeah, I look forward to sharing the park with you and sharing some of the animals with you there.
Looking forward to it.
Wonderful.
So we are here. Mr. Ian, you lead the way.
All right, guys, well, welcome. All right, well, as I said to you, we are breeding and releasing local animals. And I'm going to contract myself straight away because I'm going to introduce you just to a turtle that isn't native. But the reason we have it here, this is the red-eared slider or the snapping turtle. The name gives it away, it bites. This turns up in pet shops, it comes from Venezuela. Wow. Mother gets upset by being bitten, throws it out, and it's killing all our native turtles. Ooh. And it's going up all the streams, killing out the crayfish. So it's a problem that we have it here. We say to the children, does your turtle look like this? If it does, give it to us before Mother throws it out, okay? We also have the parrots here. In Trinidad, you've got 6 species. We've only got 1 species of parrot here. They're really, really important. They're terribly messy eaters. They drop their food. So maybe 50–60% of the trees in Tobago are planted by these guys. And then we also here have the 𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀, which is the national bird, also known as the rufous-vented chakalaka. And for those of you who know the name, chakalaka suits it. It's that noise, chakalaka, chakalaka, is what you hear in the morning. All right. Okay, well, let me just tell you, Caymans have turned into, almost by default, they've turned into one of our big success stories. So when we started here, when I first arrived as a tourist, anywhere on this Atlantic coast, you would stop at the bridges and you'd see caiman. They've nearly all been eaten now. So they're under pressure, which is really, really sad. So when we built this little pond here and a big pond down below, and it was dry season, no water for miles. And we put water in, fish in, 24 hours later, the first caiman arrived. So he smelt that water from 5 or 6 miles away. We try not to name anything, but he is called Killian. And he was commuting between both ponds, and we thought that was kind of cool.
Right.
And then he actually realised he's by a supermarket and he could go up there and eat 𝗬𝗀𝗀s and manicous. So we had to fence him down below, and that was the best thing we could have done. So he's got 2 girlfriends down there, plenty babies. And this lady, it's a long story, we thought she was a male, but in fact, the girl that we're just up here, just below us, she actually came into this pond. She made a big pile of leaves there, and that's her nest, and she's laid eggs in there. And maybe another 6 weeks' time, we'd be looking for the babies up here.
Oh, wow.
And we could get, so there's at least 20 babies in the ponds at the moment.
Oh, nice.
So it's possible at night you can catch them. It means we can take them to places where they used to be. But we don't know caiman politics, so the bottom pond's open to the world, and the males can, before they get killed, they can go chasing off. So one of our real success stories.
Nice.
So the 𝗪𝗪𝗀, its role in the forest, this is the garbage man. This is the one that eats anything dead, anything rotten in the forest. And it's a long story, but we've released a huge number of these because we've got the breeding right, we've got them right. And because we hate having anything in an enclosure, they have a short life, 18 months, 2.5 years. So we get 2 lots of babies out of them and then we release them. And because we're collecting snakes and other animals around the island, if we find a manicure in a shop or someone's house, if it's a male, we introduce that and change the male. So there's just nothing's in captivity for their whole life. This is the guy who laid that egg. As you can see, they're large eggs. It's remarkable they can pass eggs as big as that. And this is the adult. This is nearly just about full-grown gallop. And this is what comes out of the egg, this little guy here. So these, again, are one of our real success stories. They're breeding really, really well for us in here and in the park. Okay, this little guy is one of my absolute favorites. This is the scorpion mud turtle. So we have 2 native turtles here, the gallop and this guy, the scorpion mud turtle. As you can see, he's dying to bite me. He's got me a couple of times, but I'm really, really fond of him. So again, it's very hard to find his babies here, but they're breeding in the park. But that head comes all the way around and really, really keen to bite. But isn't he wonderful? But this is something, when I started, I felt we shouldn't do, is handle them. But to see people like yourself come in and you're scared of them, the kids come in and they experience this, and Corbin's really good with the kids, getting them to hold it, getting them to feel, you can feel where their ribs are, and realise they're not cold and slimy, they're not nasty. And when we've got a big one, maybe 6 foot long, you put it around it, they realise just how heavy and how strong they are. And the kids then celebrate just how wonderful a snake is. And it's proved really, really important. And it's put Corbin on the map, because basically if anyone finds any animal, they phone Corbin.
Yes.
But I mean, we're talking hundreds of snakes would have been killed if we weren't here. So it's really, really important to get that story out to people, just how wonderful these guys are. Okay, the good news, this is the 𝗖𝗿𝗍. This is the only animal on the island that isn't endangered.
Okay, nice.
The bad news is, the reason it's not endangered is we've lost its predators. So there was the ocelot, the big cat, that used to kill it. The 𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀, which is the wild hog, that's extirpated, that's extinct on the island as well. That used to kill it. But what kept it under control for the last 20, 40 years was the big black hawk. But unfortunately, with gardens, more and more people gardening, using more poison, we're killing the black hawks, and so these numbers are getting even greater. So these actually need to be kept in check, but they are a very, very wonderful animal. So this is the most endangered animal on the island, and quite literally it's endangered because this is the status one for people to eat.
Yeah.
They're paying 600 TT a pound for it, and the crazy thing is these guys carry leprosy. That's not a myth. There's people in Trinidad at the moment with leprosy because of eating these. And yet, like I say, this is the one that everyone wants to eat. So their job in the forest is to eat the termites. We're getting too many termites in the forest because these guys are getting so scarce. Yeah. And unfortunately, we have got them breeding outside the enclosure, but we haven't managed to get them breeding in here yet. But aren't they wonderful? Yeah. And again, for the children to see it, and when the children come in, we would say, do you eat bush meat? Do you eat wild meat? 90% say yes. And then when they see these guys, you say, do you really want to eat that? And this is the best way to get through to the parents why we shouldn't eat them, is for the kids to experience these guys.
Well, we've seen a lot here at Corbin Local Wildlife, and I just want to say thank you. Do you have any closing words for us? Yes. What I'd love to say to Tobago and Trinidad is to celebrate what you've got here. It's so special, and it's sad to say it's really scarce. It's nearly unique in the world. The richness of the biodiversity you've got here. You've got problems, you are losing stuff, but compared to the rest of the world and the so-called developed world, this is magic. This is gold dust to tell the rest of the world to come and celebrate what you've got, but for you guys to look after it. Yeah. Because if I was for the last 50 years based in Southern Ireland,
And there we've lost most of our species. It's exciting to see one butterfly, the bees are gone, the birds are gone. Don't do that. Celebrate what you've got and look after it.
Yeah, and like you mentioned, Tobago is in a kind of, we should pay attention to this now because we can still fix the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah?
But it's, yeah. And again, even though I've been here 8 years, recording stuff is disappearing. So, but there's still time to stop it here. And you guys, you've just got to, because it's so special what's here.
And of course, we can all play a part in terms of maintaining the health of our environment. And if we all play our small part, maybe we can contribute to making Trinidad and Tobago a better place.